From layoff to legend, how Doug Cunnington built a FI life on his own terms. This week on the Extreme Personal Finance Show. All right, on the show today, I'm super excited. I'm hanging out with someone who I think is equal parts chill, sharp, and just a brilliant dude. And I'm talking about Doug Cunnington. After getting laid off in 2015, he built his own internet and affiliate marketing business and became a really smart SEO dude. He later landed in the FI capital of the U.S., Longmont, Colorado, which is crazy. That's kind of the mecca of FI people, kind of weird. But he fell right into that FI world. And I think he's just a really grounded, thoughtful dude and a great voice in the community. He also hosts the podcast Mile High FI and talks about life after FI and that type of thing. So I'm getting ready to shred with Doug. Doug, how you doing, man?
I'm awesome, and I'm pumped to be here. Great intro. It sounds like I want to talk to this person, but then I realize it's me. Maybe you've oversold it, but I appreciate it, and I'm really. It's been a pleasure to get to know you over the last couple of years, bumping into you at different events and stuff like that. So very excited to chat with you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And same. You know, I mean, we both have kind of a mutual love of guitars and music and that type of thing. And what I would really like to know, back in 2015, you got laid off. And most people, I think, would, okay, I need to find another job. Did you start going through that thought process in your head, or right away did you think, I'm going to do my own thing? Like, what was that process? What was that thought process for you back then?
I wanted to do my own thing, 100%.
Okay.
And my wife, though, she really encouraged me to find another job. But one thing, sort of a pivotal moment, occurred a couple years before that. So in 2013, I found a podcast called Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn.
Yes.
Gateway
that changed
drug.
My life too.
Yep.
I know.
Gateway drug for so many of us. And it was, just pivotal. So I didn't know anything about online marketing or making money online. And it sounded like a scam. And I didn't have a strong interest in, side hustles or entrepreneurship. I was a corporate worker bee type doing my thing there. And I didn't love it, but I got interested and I got obsessed. And I listened to all the episodes that Smart Passive Income had out. I jumped off to, different podcasts and blogs and stuff like that, and started a website in maybe a month or two. So I started a website and tried to implement the stuff that, these podcasters and bloggers were talking about. So by 2015, I had a roller coaster ride. So it was like some early success, many failures, a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was getting little pieces of success. So occasionally I would make pretty much replacement income, like $6,000 in a month. And again, it would drop, and I didn't know what I was doing, but I had a taste of what I could do on my own. And like so many of us realize when we're in our corporate jobs, there's sort of a path of, maybe small raises, maybe some promotions, but it was kind of capped. And when I started learning from the folks that were working online and entrepreneurs, there's kind of no cap. It scales in a way that doesn't have the same waste as a corporate environment. So I was like, oh, I don't have to do as good. I probably don't have to work as many hours, and I could probably earn a lot more money. So by 2015, I was like, I have had a few months where things have worked out really well, and I think I could make this work.
Right on. So you've kind of proven out the model. Wow, this can work, right? So you escaped the corporate, I don't know, the corporate machine, if you will.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you do miss about it though?
Virtually nothing, especially
Really?
when I look back now. There's a lot of wasted time. And the other part is I gradually went from, working in an office, and I was a management consultant and did project management for big software implementations and such. And at times there was a lot of travel, which wasn't great, but I started working at home, like off and on, starting in maybe 2009 or 10. So I very gradually was like going into the office less and less, and pretty much was working remotely like full time by 2013, something like that. I would go in the office every now and then. All that to say, there's some aspect of like the social portion where you're able to have a meeting like face to face. But by the time I left, we weren't even doing that. We were having like, you know, Zoom calls with people in the same building where we technically could meet face to face,
Dude,
but
isn't
we
this sad?
didn't.
That's
Yeah.
so sad.
Yeah. So I don't miss anything about it. I learned some stuff along the way, but I don't miss anything about the corporate job, any of the old stuff. It's that it is weird because I'm just like, yeah, that whole thing was not, that did
Right.
not work for me.
Sure. Well, you said you learned stuff along the way. What's one of the biggest things that you learned about shifting to an entrepreneur doing your own thing?
So actually, I'll give a couple things like
Yeah.
to give credit to the corporate job. I did like learn the project management aspect, which is
Mm.
roughly, it could be a wasteful admin situation where you're kind of shuffling papers. However, there's some good skills that you can learn as far as using templates and using systems and a repeatable process. And, a lot of, I mean, all companies use some pieces that they find useful. It doesn't have to be too rigid. So when I started working for myself, I was able to take those project management and corporate ideas of like organizational structure in management and building a team and all that kind of stuff and transfer it over to what worked for me. And the other part that I learned is, hey, I built a team before. I've done this a few times and I don't have to prove anything. I don't feel like I need to have a big team. I don't want to have a big team. So I would have contractors work for me a little bit when I was, self-employed after 2015, but I never hired people full time. I never wanted to have a really huge team. And I had some peers and some other folks that were kind of working similar, solo entrepreneurs that wanted to build a team because they didn't have the corporate experience. And I felt like maybe they wanted to prove to themselves they could build a team, they could have, this big organization. But I was like, I don't want to do that. That was cool when it was on someone else's dime, but not my thing.
Sure. I have like mixed feelings about that. So like I was just listening to another podcast and it was like it's called Homegrown Hustle. If anyone wants to listen to it, it's super rad. It's based here in the Minnesota area, but they talked to a bunch of business people and they were interviewing somebody and they talked about how when you're starting to think about what that team would be or what the scale would be so that you don't build something and then have to rebuild it along the way, right? And so I totally get that. And I think the way my brain works is that everything I build, everything that I work on, I think of if someone were to pick me up and move me out of whatever I'm building, could that system still run? And that's what I really have a challenge. That's what I'm struggling with because I want to build systems in everything that I'm doing. So, like, you know what? If I get hit by a truck, my things can still run. I don't know. That's just the way my brain works. But
Right. Yep. And you hear that too, that allows you to take really long vacations or kind of check out as well. I think 4-hour work week, like Tim Ferriss covers
yeah,
this, like, hey,
right.
if you left for 6 months, like maybe things will actually run better because, you're not getting in the way anymore, which I mean, that makes a lot of sense in a lot of
It's
ways.
hard, dude. It's hard to give up control. I tell you what, to delegate is super hard because, especially if you're like a solopreneur, because it's like you think that your way is the right way.
Right, right. And that made me remember. So I got laid off and I was on the front end of layoffs kind of. But what I did, you mentioned delegation. So
Mhm.
when maybe my last couple years, I had a team of maybe like 6 to 15 people or so. And essentially, I delegated everything I possibly could. So I was hardly doing anything by the end. And the thing is, I wanted to, like exactly what you said. If I went on
Mhm.
vacation, people could handle it. And in certain environments, in certain, especially consulting and that kind of corporate structure, like in order for my reportees to get promoted, they needed to be doing my job. Like you have to do the job before they'll even let you try to get promoted. So I was
Mhm.
helping them. A lot of my team got promoted. I coached them through it and all that. But I got laid off partially because I
Right.
delegated everything and they're like, yeah, Doug's like, he only shows up for the meetings he has to do. And then the other thing that was really fun is we worked remotely and basically I just moved and I was like, hey, I moved to Montana. So if you want to like, let's make it work out. But if not, then I guess we'll figure, I mean, you could let me go or whatever you have to do. Um, so they were going to try and work it out, but they eventually, yeah, I made it like 2 more weeks. So
Sure.
getting laid off was fantastic. And I didn't realize it, but it was a sort of a pure FU money situation where I was like, I'm doing what I want and you guys could deal with it or not. And they were like, oh, we're not going to deal with it. So,
That is truly building a life on your terms. That's because I mean, again, a lot of people, they get laid off and they're immediately in panic mode. They're posting on LinkedIn the same day looking for opportunities, right? Like, I mean, you're pretty fortunate. I mean, did you always have that FI mindset, like that you were building up kind of, you know what, if something happened, I can do this?
no, no. So I was lightly aware of the, the FI idea and fire in general in 2014. And that was the first time my wife and I calculated our net worth. So 2014, we were starting to accumulate money and we didn't quite know what to do. I had a financial advisor who was actually an insurance salesman. And then my wife had
Yeah,
a financial advisor. So once we realized that our self managed 401ks were performing way better than what those guys were doing, we fired them within like weeks because we calculated our net worth and we're like, oh yeah, we crushed it over the last couple of years. Yet the pros are doing a horrible fucking job. So we
sure.
fired them. My wife, she was a lot more financially minded and was paying a lot more attention and budgeted and did other stuff. I was kind of a mess all over the place. But calculated our net worth, realized we needed to figure out how to invest. My wife looked at index fund investing. So we went that route. So at that point, 2014, I think I saw Mr. Money Mustache's blog briefly, kind of looked at the index fund idea, started investing that way. Chris, I never read anything else on the blog. Like I was right there and then I didn't pay attention. But a few years later, I did hear him, Pete, on a few different podcasts. And then I was like, oh, wow, this dude, he retired at 30. And I kind of was hip to what he was doing and listened to more interviews and stuff. And a couple years after that, we ended up moving to Longmont because my wife got a job in Boulder and it's a little cheaper over here.
Right on. Yeah, it was so, like, I don't know what the word is, almost like an epiphany. You mentioned Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn. Once I started learning that, and then Mr. Money Mustache, and then I started understanding, oh, like if you're intentional with your money, you don't have to work until 65 and then die. I was just, people do that? Like, because I had never heard of that before until discovering like these people. Like it was just amazing to me.
Yeah. And remind me, when did you find Pete's blog and stuff like that?
Yep, it was about the same time. So I got divorced in 2015. And so I started just educating myself 2015, 2016-ish. Bought my first rental property in 2017. So yeah, about the same time.
And it's crazy, like we weren't doing everything right. We made tons of mistakes,
Oh,
but like
totally.
we were doing a couple things okay. And within, 10 years, like our financial situations completely flipped upside down. And like, it's insane. Cause if I wouldn't believe the story if I was able to go talk to myself from 2015 or 14 or whatever. It wouldn't make any sense to me.
Oh, totally. And I mean, some of the things, I was doing right, I guess you could say. It's just something I got from my dad. Like my dad was super like debt adverse, right? So like he didn't want debt. He paid off his mortgage and stuff. So I was like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. So for man, almost trying to think how many years, like almost 10 years, I did on my primary house, I did what they call the Equity Accelerator program, and so my mortgage company just had a program where I could pay the mortgage every 2 weeks, and it just accelerated that equity, and, it put me in a better spot to like, "Oh, well, now I'm gonna pay off whatever's left," which I wouldn't have done that without my dad telling me, "Yeah, it's you shouldn't have debt." So, that was kinda one thing where the one thing I did right, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you leaving the corporate world, like, I know that there's people out there, if they're listening too, right? And they're like, "Man, I'm stuck in maybe it's a high paying job, but it's soul crushing. It's not what they wanna do." They find them like, when do they admit to themselves, "Okay, I can change," or "My situation can change." What advice would you have for them?
Oh gosh.
I mean, I know your situation, you weren't necessarily dictating the timeline since they laid you off, but,
Hmm.
you know,
Right.
I feel as though, you were doing some of the things right, then you started to learn, and I think people I mean, that's my biggest thing is I try to if someone was like me back then, what advice should I give them? And I guess
Yeah.
one of the first things I would say is try to get rid of as much debt as you can. That's me. But
Right.
some people, obviously, it's controversial. Like if you should pay off your mortgage or not. I understand that depending on who
Right.
you talk to. But
Yeah.
anyway,
So I think one data point that the hang up that I'm having right now, you asked me, hey, do you miss anything about the corporate gig?
hmm
Zero. Like, and a lot of people that I bump into, especially my closer friends, which makes sense, they have the same. They're like, no, I don't miss anything, and I would not get another job. That would be insane. And it doesn't. It sounds crazy, but like we're on the other side, and there's very, very few people that I talk to that are retired early that would want to go back to a corporate job. There's one or two folks, and I think those are just very positive people, and they like the team or some aspect, they really get something out of it. And if you're in that mindset where you're like, I dread this job, I'm depressed, and you feel like there's not a way out. There's, like you said, there's definitely a path. Part of it, if you're in debt, that's one thing. You got to get rid of that. But otherwise, like we talked about, Chris, like you can turn it around really quick. Most of the time, of course, if you have a huge mountain of debt, but even then, like you hear the stories where people really shift their priorities. And the
hmm
biggest thing is like wanting to change. And I'm not a big like self-help enthusiast or anything like that. But over time, I think I probably heard the authors on podcasts or other ideas around like changing and viewing things differently. And one of the big hangups, people could have the very high salary, but they also have their identity tied up in
Oh,
their job, and they
totally.
have their social structure tied up in their job, and probably like the huge sunk cost of knowing, you went to school for this thing, you got an MBA, and you're like, I put all this time into it. But that's a sunk cost. And if you could figure out all these cognitive biases, not all, but if you could figure out one or
Yep.
two, and one of them is sunk cost, and you could just fucking walk away from stuff, and you'll probably be better off even if you put in all that investment before, like from this moment forward, like that's all that stuff's in the past. But like from this moment forward, like what's the best decision you could make? And it might be not earning as much money, earning, whatever quarter or half or whatever, and then having like freedom on your time, having freedom on like the activities that you want to spend all that time on. And that's the biggest thing for me, just the autonomy. And one of the biggest reasons why I would not want to go back to a corporate job, even if I picked the hours that I wanted to work or whatever, I would still have some rigidity and I would not like those hours, even if I picked them myself. So there's something about the autonomy where I'm like, you know what, today I want to go not do work at all. And I want to go just walk around outside and do something aimless that seems like it's not productive at all.
Well, let's talk about that because I think you and I have had this discussion about how, like, I'm more of a rigid structure calendar type of guy. And do you think our culture, the way, we're addicted to being busy, right? We're addicted to all this stuff. But you made it a choice to go on hikes. You're not rushing around. You kind of slowed down. Is there something else that you, I don't know, that you would give people advice to like slow down? Slow down to live more, I guess? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good title of a book. Should write that. Yeah. Well, for me specifically, like being in a rush, being late for something, like that totally stresses me out.
Mm,
And if I could get rid of that, like it just makes me feel much better. Like similar to like getting enough sleep, which is
mm,
another thing. It's like that definitely seems like a lazy thing. Like if you sleep a lot, and I wish I could sleep a little bit more, but like taking naps during the day, like kind of frowned upon. It's like what a lazy person. But like if you're well rested, you're way less stressed out. Like I
totally.
could just, if I am feeling like I'm stressed or overwhelmed, like 90% of the time it's because I haven't slept well in the last few days. It's like,
Yeah,
get some more sleep, everything's
totally,
fine.
totally. Have you
So
seen, do you have an iPhone?
I do, yeah.
Have you seen the new sleep scores they give you now in iOS 26?
I haven't yet. My watch just died recently. I need to
Okay,
get a new one. So
got it. Well, now they get all this data. So again, you can track your sleep with your Apple Watch, and now they have all this data, and they kind of pile it into a sleep score, and they give you a score, and it can be poor, okay, good, excellent kind of a thing, and it
right.
gives you a number value, and then it'll tell you, oh, you know what, your sleep score was okay, and you average like 6 hours of sleep last week or something, and I'm like, damn it, that sucks
Yeah.
balls. Like you have no clue of how poor your sleep is until you look at it over time.
Yes. And actually, this is a great like meta point here.
Hmm.
I track my sleep, and like I said, I was just talking to my wife today. I'm like, I'm gonna get a new watch. I'm like looking at the different versions, blah blah blah, because I've had an Apple Watch for a few years, have a tremendous amount of data. Look at the sleep scores, but this is a perfect example of like over optimization and over like trying to be productive. It's like I wake up and I check my sleep score. It's like I'm stressing about that because I have more data. And it's again, perfect example where it's just like we want to be productive. People are telling us, hey, if you want to be more productive and get more done and blah, blah, blah. But that's only through the sort of view of like traditional productivity, but it might be productive for us to get more rest, or it might be productive to spend time outside and not like produce more spreadsheets or whatever kind of thing you're thinking. And yeah, it's tough to get away from that idea because our jobs, our corporate careers, like we're evaluated on that, and time is money. And we're evaluating like each chunk of time as like a chunk of money. And it's hard to disconnect that. But once you do, like it's pretty freeing where, yeah, me sitting around in the backyard and like playing with our dog, not that productive, but it's a good pastime and I feel better
Sure.
afterwards. So there's a ton of things like that where it doesn't necessarily look productive. It looks pretty lazy, but maybe it's a good thing to spend time on.
Sure. And I learned this actually from my therapist because I have a hard time if I'm not quote being productive, I get super anxious, right? And sometimes I feel so guilty if I just, take an evening where my son comes over and we watch a movie. Well, that 2 hours, like I could be creating something, building something, doing something, making money or whatever. And my therapist put it this way, you know, if your goal that day was to spend quality time with your kid, you were productive. If your goal is to go out and play catch with your dog that evening, that's productive. Like productivity doesn't have to be this business related thing. It can be whatever you deem is important to you, right? And that was a like changing thing in my head for sure.
And then have you been able to make that switch, or is it, I mean, it's a gradual thing, but how's it
Yes.
going?
I mean, I have, it's not as easy. Um, like for instance, like I love playing guitar, but I always think of playing guitar as a reward when all my work is done. And so there are days where I don't get to play because I feel as though I didn't I wasn't productive enough to earn the reward of playing guitar, which is so stupid and silly because technically it's all my time. I'm retired, question quote. But it's sad, really, And so that's the thing is, um, yeah, I have, but it's hard
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah,
Do you,
yeah. Go
do you
ahead.
think, let me ask you this. So, we just talked about like sleep and things like that. Do you have some other like ritual or something in your life that is way more meaningful than people would think? Like just a little thing that you do that helps you be grounded or helps you feel, I don't know, feel more human? What is that?
Yeah, probably couple things. One, wake up, get some coffee, whatever. But I walk my dog for probably like 2-3 miles almost every day. Um, I was gonna say like it's only like when we're traveling and we're taking a road trip where maybe I can't walk her quite as much. But yeah, just walking outside is very nice. And I also go to the gym probably like 5 to 6 days a week. I don't work out like super hard, but I always do a little something,
Mm.
whatever I'm feeling like. And I'm just trying not to get injured overall. Cause as we're getting older,
Oh,
I started pulling stuff and I'm like, all right, as long as I can go to the gym the next day.
yes.
Then the last thing, I love to cook. So
Really? I didn't know that about you.
love to cook. And I probably spend, I don't know, 50% of my time either thinking about cooking food, going to the grocery store, and, like over the last couple days, I think I made like smoked meatloaf and I made like a big tray of it. And it's great. It's one of those flow state situations. So I'll
Hmm.
chop some veggies and do some other stuff and whatever. And I'll be cooking for like 3, 4, 5 hours. It goes by like that. Love it. Bouncing around the house a little bit. Maybe I'm grilling stuff. Maybe I got the smoker fry or going. Maybe I'm like frying steaks or something like that. So yeah, cooking, huge part of like what my focus is, whether it's actually cooking or thinking about cooking, or
Sure.
of course get to eat it.
I love that. What is Doug's specialty? Like, what's that thing that you love doing? People rave about it. What is that thing?
Oh man, there's a lot of things. I'm currently into steaks right now, so there's a lot of different ways to do it, of course. But I'm typically these days I'm pan searing it, and I'll do like a 12 to 36 hour sort of it's kind of a mini dry age. So I coat it with salt, put it on a rack in the fridge so the outside gets pretty dry. And it's not a true, dry age, but it gets the meat just a little bit more tender and it absorbs the salt, and then you get a really great sear on there. And Yeah, it's fantastic. So I'm into steaks currently.
That's awesome. Usually, if it doesn't come out of a box, I don't know how to cook it. So, well, one of these days when I'm passing through Longmont, I'm gonna
Yeah,
come
come
over
over.
and have dinner. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, like I get into all sorts of other, like different little things. So nothing super amazing, but I was gonna say like we do a pre-Thanksgiving meal with some of our neighbors around here. And I do the turkey. So I mean like pretty simple, like many millions of people do turkey, but just over time, like I think I've honed it in pretty well because sometimes you have a turkey, it's pretty dry.
mhm.
There's a little trick, uh, and that's use a thermometer. But the crazy thing, like I have a few thermometers, two of them failed. So I was like, this doesn't seem right. So it was like reading
Mm,
much lower than it actually was. So I had my secondary thermometer testing things out, and I was like, oh, I need to pull it out. I almost overcooked it myself, but yeah, use a meat thermometer.
right on. One thing I have done, and I've done it for years now, is, and I don't even know how you pronounce it. I call it sous vide. I
Mhm.
don't know,
Sous vide.
sous vide.
Yep.
I don't know, whatever. That's where you cook things in this water immersion bath, right? Usually they're like, vacuum sealed, or I usually just use Ziplocs.
Mhm.
But I will tell you, so turkey, I've done like, I'll get like just a few separate, like 3, 4 pound breasts, put those in a Ziploc. I mean, I like season the piss out of them, and sometimes I'll do like injectable marinade and all the shit. Put it in the Ziploc bag with like butter and seasonings and stuff, and I'll sous vide that. And then even I remember like one of the first years I did that, my grandma, who is like the best cook ever, she was like, Christopher, this is the best turkey I've ever had. Like it was pretty awesome because it was so moist and juicy and yummy. Oh my gosh. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've done pork chops and like salmon. I've done everything because the thing is, you can't ruin it really. The only thing that happens is the texture will change a little bit. So you could sous vide something, 2 hours versus 4 hours. It's not like you're going to wreck it, but the texture changes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever done that. Have you ever sous vide anything?
Yeah, I have. And bro, I was gonna say, like, that's an advanced technique. You're like, "Ah, I can't cook any." You're like, yeah, I'm
I
doing
don't
this
know.
French technique where blah blah blah. It's like that's pretty good, bro. Yeah.
I remember when I was really heavily doing it, like so many things. I remember I got stuck in, the Reddit rabbit hole and watching all these YouTubes, and people would test different things. Like when I first did steaks, I would put pats of butter inside the bag. And I remember these two dudes truly compared putting butter in your sous vide steak and not putting butter in your sous vide steak. Not butter won out, which I never would have thought.
Huh.
But
Did they have
yeah,
a theory?
I don't know. I'm sure there was science in there, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was super fun. I remember so how I finish things. Let's say, like you mentioned, so if you do like a sirloin or something, usually you got to finish it like on a grill or like I'll cast iron skillet sear it to make it nice and crisp and stuff. And again, I'm in the forums, people are like, well, no, you got to finish it with a butane torch. There's different ways. And you watch YouTube videos and they'll get it out and they're like literally on the serving plate. When they plate it, they're like searing it with a torch. And so there are people debating, oh, you can use a propane torch versus butane. People are like, oh, you can taste the propane. Don't do that. Blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't have a butane torch, but I do have a propane torch. So I go out in my garage. I get my propane torch. I'm like, I like, it's still in the skillet. I'm like, I turn my propane torch on. Within seconds, my freaking smoke detector's going off. It's just like a nightmare. Evidently, propane, there's gas that the smoke detector doesn't like. I mean, you couldn't see anything. It wasn't like it was smoking. It was just
Whoa.
something in the air. Yeah. Anyway, so I learned not to use a propane torch in my kitchen, just an FYI.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. I do a lot of stuff outside. I have like a induction burner, like just a
Mm,
plug-in one. Yeah, because like frying inside, it just like it gets to be a little bit of a mess and all that kind of thing. So yeah, smoke, you get that, the cast iron like super, super hot,
Yep.
you're going to set off the smoke detector for sure. So
Totally. Totally. So now are you like overcritical if you go out to eat now? Do you like, that was trash?
I try not to. I typically won't order a steak out unless it's really, really good. So what I have learned is like order the right thing at the right place.
Mm,
And I'm not too, I mean, I'll eat hot dogs, like I'll eat whatever. I eat, trashy fast food, whatever. I'm a simple man. But
mhm,
if you're at a place where you're not quite sure, burger usually works out, stuff like fish and chips, like
sure.
some like proper like bar fare usually works out pretty well. And even like nicer restaurants, not that we frequent those very often, but like a nicer restaurant still probably has like a solid burger. But yeah, 99% of the time, probably going to be disappointed with the steak because
Got it.
I could babysit it, but they have to make a profit. So it's a lesser cut, most likely.
Sure.
And then it's sitting under the light for a few minutes. And then there's a lot of failure points.
Right. Are there any like places that you're dying to go? Like, would you go to Peter Luger's Steakhouse in New York?
No
Peter Luger?
place I'm dying to go. Yeah, I'm not super impressed. I would, if I was in New York and had the opportunity, I probably would check it out. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's probably fine, but have you been, by the way?
I haven't. No.
Okay.
People always say, "Well, you should get in for free. They should give you a steak for free." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not related, buddy." And I heard that it's cash only.
Oh, really?
So it's like you got to have a couple $100 cash when you go there. Like, that's funny.
Yeah.
So you really have built a life that a lot of people would envy. You know, do you? Is there a certain part of your life that still like scares you or you're uncertain about?
Oh man, that's um that's an interesting one. There's always stuff that I'm working on, but not like right now, it's like a really like things are dialed in pretty well. And some of the, quote problems that I'm having are if I just say them like directly, it sounds dumb where I'm like, last couple years we we took too many trips, so we wanted to be home more. So it's like, yeah, tough problem, dude. But part of it is like, well, where do you want to spend your time? Like we're trying to spend time with friends and family a little bit more. So that's like one of the challenges. And, guys, men our age in our late 40s, early 50s, like it's really important for us to like make guy friends and
Yeah.
like have some solid relationships. So it's like making an effort to, keep the old friendships alive and putting time into it and effort because that is a challenge. And, we don't have kids, but many of my friends that I'm talking about, they have kids. So it's like, it's harder for them to take those trips. So all that to say, like, that's one of the areas where it's like, try to make sure I have like my relationships in order and make sure I'm putting the right amount of effort into it. So, and that goes for, family and, my family's in different states. So it takes effort and it takes planning. And part of it is like, we like our house, we like the community around here. So we don't want to be gone for too much. And at the same time, we want to like experience new things and have novel experiences. So it's like kind of a balancing act that we're trying to figure out.
Totally. Totally. I think that it's super hard to make friends as you get older. Like we know that. And that's why I do force myself to do some in-person things. I have a monthly meetup group that I try to get out to, try to meet new people. Even tonight I'm going to like this meet and greet thing. I should get to know the people in the community. And so while I'm kind of don't want to, I know that I will be thankful. I will thank the future self if I actually get out of my comfort zone and go meet new people. And yeah, so because there's people that, again, it's hard to make friends as an adult, especially as you get, your 40s and 50s as a dude. And I'm in this business group that we go to lunch every week, and it's one of the couple hours every week that I really look forward to because we get to hang out and bullshit. And people pretty much, we all roast each other. And, I get ripped on because I wear Crocs and I say dude a lot. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like, but it's because they care, it's that type of thing.
Yeah. You could say dude, but I don't know about the Crocs.
I actually have several pair of Crocs. I have Spider-Man. I have two Spider-Man Crocs. I have Star Wars Crocs. I
Oh
have
man.
Batman Crocs.
It's like
I,
strike 2, 3, strike 4. Oh man. Come on.
it was really hard for me not to buy the Friday the 13th Crocs that got like blood splattered on them. They're pretty,
Seasonal. I like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're white. They're white. They look like hockey masks. And then you can get like the little, I don't know what they're called, the little charm plugs you can plug into them. You can get like little machetes and shit. It's pretty rad. So
Next year.
I'm such an idiot. But yeah, that's awesome. Do you think in the future, right? Let's say you're Doug 20 years from now. Because, you're still a young guy, right? You're in your 40s, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say 20 years from now, what does that look like for you?
Oh man. You're asking some deep questions. Let's see. Hopefully I'll be very active. Like I said, I try to hit the gym and be in shape. And I know, that's one of those things where I'm hoping like the time that I'm investing now will help me be like mobile and active and able to travel, quite a bit and be comfortable. So like that's one thing. You mentioned guitar. I have been playing more and practicing more and trying to like overcome some of the plateaus because for many years I just kind of like strummed around and did the same kind of thing, but I'm really trying to learn more and get some more technical chops and like music theory under my fingers. And 20 years is a long time, and I could probably learn a whole lot and be be a very advanced guitar player, putting in time over the long haul like that. So I don't want to, like, I'm in a good spot right now. I don't want to lose focus on that. And I've been playing with some friends around here, which has been really fun. It's social. The music aspect is something a little bit different that I haven't spent that kind of time on. And, the other area kind of alluded to it, but just more travel. Like we're dog people, and we've had dogs. And as the dogs get older, we tended to not travel as much and like not do international travel. So we will probably, at some point we'll lose our current dog who's in my feet right now. And then we'll probably do a lot more travel. And I know in the next 20 years, like that'll be like potentially some of our most active years as far as like international travel and that sort of thing.
Wow,
So
good for you. I just think of myself, and maybe I'm just in a different. So many people I talk to now, especially in the FI community, have really focused on their health. And I feel as though since I left work, my health has actually kind of gone down. I've probably gained 15 pounds just because I'm not constantly moving, going from meeting to meeting. I'm like, I guess I'm more homebound. It's really easy to snack when you're just sitting around at your computer all day.
yeah.
So, but yet, that's most of the people, and that's including myself. I always think, well, in the future, I will be traveling less. So good for you. That's one thing that I went to like some music festivals and some concerts and stuff now because I know I'm healthy enough to do that because I just don't know what I'll be. I really need to take better care of my health, man. Maybe
Mm.
that's what I got to do though. I got to move to a place where it's not 20 below zero for 3 months of the year. Sucks balls.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the other part of it is like who you're around because I'm not going to say the average of 5 people, all that kind of
Yep.
stuff, because I don't know if I buy into that completely. But at the same time, it's just like
Sure.
if you're around people that are like doing the active stuff and they're like pulling you out, like you were like, oh yeah, we do the business lunch. fucking sit
Yep.
around and eat. No, no, I didn't mean it to sound that negative,
Yep.
but like recently people were like, "Hey, you want to go do this thing?" And I was like, "Why don't we get a coffee and walk? Because I don't want to sit at a
Love
table
that.
and then they're trying to turn the table
Yep.
and blah blah blah." It's like, let's just go walk outside. It's nice out. There's greenways, so I try to
I
like
love
do
that.
that kind of stuff. But like it's totally within,
Yep.
obviously within your reach.
Sure.
Like my 20-year timeline of like learning guitar more. It's like, dude, you could get in shape in like under a year, like totally awesome shape.
Thank you for that. I mean, seriously, I need that. I think, and that's one of the things too, is like, when I had a corporate job, there were oftentimes, again, I worked downtown Minneapolis, and, every time, like, we would go, like you mentioned, grab a coffee, but it was in the Skyway. So we'd go put 2 miles on walking around the Skyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At
yeah.
lunchtime. So it's like, it was so much easier to get more steps in. It was just so much easier to do that stuff. Um, yeah, I was going to say, I like the focus on music and guitar. Like that's something that I really want to do. And it's interesting. I guess it means that we're serious because the guys I play with, and you'll appreciate this, we just bought like $2,000 worth of gear.
Nice.
So we just bought like a 40 track rack mount digital mixer with a PA and then an expansion card so we can do our separate tracks and swap out SD cards and bring them home. And I'm
Yeah.
there's a learning curve there. Like I got to learn how to use all the equipment. Like I'm not an audio engineer type music guy. Um, but now I'm vested, man.
That's cool. Yeah, yeah. Well, and I was gonna say I play with a buddy, Tyler, and there's a spot around here. It's called the Drum Box, and it's like the old ATM kiosk little buildings, and it's in a parking lot. And basically, there's a set of drums in there. There's no noise issues. You can turn it up as loud as you want. So I bring my tube amp, can totally crank. And I mean, we wear tons of hearing protection because it's so loud in there. But like, where do you guys play? Someone has a house that's like
Yeah.
soundproofed or whatever?
Yeah, the drummer's basement, really. That's where we
Okay.
practice. And we had our very first gig a couple months ago. Um, and I guess you kind of I mentioned it to you, and I was like, well, I don't know. We had like 70 people, and you assured me, no, that's a real gig.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, man.
So, but it was super fun. But yeah, when we practice, it's in the drummer's basement, and I always have my eargasms in, and I just don't understand how like I mean, the drummer, like, he never wears ear protection. I don't know
Oh,
how. Man, I mean, cymbal crashes, if I don't have my earplugs in, like, my ears are bleeding.
yeah. I have no idea, no clue at all. But I mean, I was gonna say you probably did the same. Like when I went to shows in my 20s or whatever, like we didn't wear
Oh,
earplugs. Like just it wasn't on the radar as much.
yeah. There was
So
a show that literally it was like a light switch for me. I went to a show at a small club. It was called the Mirage TNT nightclub here in Minneapolis. It's now torn down. They got, like, apartments there now, but I went there and I was, at the stage like I always am. But I remember I got home and it was just so loud. My ears were ringing so bad that I was just like nauseous and sick. And it was like affecting me. Like I felt ill because it was so loud. And I'm like, never again. So I've wear earplugs to every concert since.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And I bring them to, we see each other at events and stuff. And even just like a crowded ballroom with
yeah,
whatever 500 people talking and they're trying to play music, it's too loud. So I bring earplugs to those and try not to talk because I also lose my voice. So it's a perfect combo of like just
totally.
uncomfortability the whole time.
Yeah, I got that tip from you. Like I would have brought mine to events until I saw you do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
got to
awesome.
do
That's
it.
awesome. Well, I do want to thank you for your time. I really do. I think you're just a super cool dude, nice and chill, but yet you still have the I don't know whatever a calm intensity. Is that a thing?
That sounds good. Yeah,
That's a
I should
thing.
make T-shirts with that.
So Doug, you know, here's the thing. people think about they think about, I want to retire early. And you and I were talking, you think that there is kind of a unique parallel between and Hallmark movies because it is the holiday season after all. Explain what you mean here, because I'm like, I'm not tracking.
So, yeah, I'm a big fan of these Hallmark movies. And every year, once we finish October, we watch horror movies all October. And
Yeah,
then we
man.
switch over to Hallmark movies. And they're a little, you know, formulaic. I mean, highly formulaic. Have you watched many Hallmark movies, Chris?
In all honesty, I really haven't, but they they talk about them all the time, like on the news and stuff. Especially, you'll get ones that truly stand out every year. Like last year, it was like, what was the one? It was like hot frosty or something. It was like this dude with chiseled abs and shit, and literally, it was like Frosty the Snowman, but it was like this hot dude.
Yeah.
And when he, and it took the world by storm. I don't understand.
That one wasn't on my radar, but I'll have to check it out. I do like guys with abs, but the so the reason why, I mean, they're fun movies. They're a little bit silly,
Mhm.
and to me, they're a perfect metaphor for
Mm.
And if people haven't, checked these movies out before, I mean, they're a punchline. There's great SNL sketches on it. I encourage people to look those up. But basically, the premise of most of the movies are someone with a stressful corporate job in the big city. For some reason, they need to go back home. Maybe their uncle is sick. They head back home. There's I don't know, there's like a pie bake off. So they have to do the pie contest. And then they meet their old flame who is
Oh,
now running the Christmas tree farm. And I don't want to spoil the movies for you, but generally, people leave their busy job where they thought they wanted to climb the corporate ladder, and then they realize what was really important, and that's family and friends and community, and basically all the shit that we talk about in the FI community. Like once you get on the other side of it, we're focusing on these other things, and that's what the Hallmark movies are all about. So they're not.
I can't I
Go
can't
ahead.
wait. And that so now this is the thing. When I watch some this year, I'm gonna truly like pay attention to see these metaphors. What is one you say you watch them? Do you have a favorite that you would recommend?
So I don't know very many of the names. They all run together, man. It's like the
Uh-huh.
same movie, and they like
Yeah.
shuffle the cards, and they're like, "Okay, we're doing Christmas tree farm, lawyer, old flame with a cupcake or a bakery. They're going to open a bakery now, or whatever." Right? It's all the same stuff. But there is one that is perfect for the uninitiated.
Okay.
It's called Cluster Funk Christmas, and
Oh.
this one is it's kind of a meta take. This one is self-aware, has some of the folks from SNL. So this one is more of a comedy. They're self-aware of the tropes and the silliness. So they make fun of the genre while making a movie that fits perfectly. So that one is a good one to get started. Like we watched one the other day, and it wasn't a actual like Hallmark production. It
Mhm.
was like maybe Lifetime or some other network, and it was like a little too um it was a little too much and not funny enough, because the good ones, while the dialogue could be pretty strained,
Mhm.
usually there's some funny parts. So this cluster funk Christmas, which is it's like
Dude, it's hard to say.
yeah, cluster funk Christmas. And yeah, find that one. That's a good one to get started. And the secret to life and to watching these Hallmark movies is low expectations. So if you're not expecting too much out of these, you won't be disappointed.
That's crazy. There's this one actress, and I don't know, her name is like
Yeah, Lacey
Lacey
Schubert or something like that.
Chubet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
She's in
think I
all of them,
heard
man. All of
I
them.
know. I think
She's
I heard
awesome.
She's been in like 37 Hallmark movies or some shit.
They're great. Yeah, if you scroll through, you'll just see her like movie after movie after movie. Yeah, she's made like a great career. I think she was in like Party of Five. I didn't watch that show back in the day, but she was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a
I think
young
she was in
kid
Mean
then.
Girls was her big breakout.
Oh
The
yeah,
original
yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, good
Yep.
call. Yeah.
Um,
So they're great movies. Definitely check it out.
cool, man. That's awesome. I never thought that we'd kind of wrap up our discussion on Hallmark Christmas movies, but you know what? Hey, that's awesome. I am a huge movie fan, so it's pretty awesome, man. Have you watched? You said you're into horror. Have you watched Welcome to Derry yet
No.
on Max? So it's like Pennywise. It's the origin story, the beginning of it, and I think the third episode dropped. It is fucking rad. It is so good. It's awesome. Yeah. So
Very
if you're into
cool.
horror,
Yeah.
check out Welcome to Derry on Max because it is worth it for sure.
On the list. Cool.
Awesome. Well, Doug, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. Let people know where they can find you, your podcast, all the things. Mile High Fi.
Yep. Thanks for having me. Super fun to catch up. Yep. You could check out Mile High Fi. It's on all the podcast players out there and on YouTube. So yeah, we do video, like record down here in the studio. I try to have people in person as much as possible. And if you haven't checked it out, I've done many episodes with Mr. Money Mustache. So those are fun. People like Pete. So he bikes over here, that's a real thing. He bikes over here and we record. So there's a handful of episodes with Pete and those are great ones to check out if you haven't heard of the show before.
Awesome. And all the people that you've talked to about like life after Fi, is there something that you've learned or maybe some call out that always sticks in your mind? A guest that did something amazing. What's one that stands out?
Oh, wow. So one of my good friends, he's local around here, but he retired a few years ago. I've recorded a couple episodes with him, and he is the Indiana Jones of Phi. That's what
Ooh,
Carl mentioned. So this guy like went like treasure hunting and like
what?
looked for fossils. So he literally would like dive and I think he went down to coast of Florida, went with a crew and he would like dive and like look through
Wow.
shipwrecks and that sort
Oh
of
my
thing.
God.
And then he was like, I kind of want to, hunt for fossils. So he went to Wyoming and like volunteered for a crew and actually like found like some stuff and there were stories written about him. So he goes on these like pretty big adventures and he had a cancer diagnosis a couple
Oh
years
my God.
later and was able to um you know make it through all the treatment and recently recorded an episode with me to kind of talk about that a little bit. Very serious episode in portions, and then talked about another musician. So he's a kind of Americana singer-songwriter genre. So he put out an album this year
Hmm.
and was like, he's recorded before, but he really put in like more time on this album and is working on, getting some airplay and like actually like following through with the promotion and marketing, which many musicians like they want to make music. They don't want to do the marketing and all that kind of song
Right.
and dance. Anyway, so Chris has covered so much stuff. Chris Russin has covered so much stuff from his adventures to dealing with cancer and then putting together an album and promoting it. So there's 2 episodes where like it's just like, oh shit, like this guy has done like some awesome stuff and he's actually from do you know Chris Russin? He's from
I
the
don't.
Twin or Minneapolis area or
I don't. I feel like
yeah.
I need to get to know him. I mean, it's not just remarkable. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll connect you guys because yeah, he's promoting the album and stuff like that. Yeah, super
Sure.
nice guy and lives, not too far away. So we're able to hike and hang out and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, again, Doug, thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And those of you that are listening, wherever you get your podcast, please like, subscribe, leave a review, wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. And we'll see you next time on the Extreme Personal Finance Show. See ya!